Hello everybody, my name's Dave Warrener. I'm the owner of the GTR Heritage Centre. Used to be called the GTR Shop for many years, and today I'm going to have a chat about my own personal 1972 Nissan Skyline Hakosuka. A lot of people ask me where did I get the car from. Going back to 2007, looking through on the internet as a lot of petrol heads do every minute of the day, and I came across some images of a car in Japan, which was a very early Nissan Skyline. Never seen one before, and I don't think a lot of people had at that stage, and it kind of caught me fancy. Coming from big powerful RB26 Nissan Skyline GTRs, I kind of felt that I really wanted to go towards something a little bit more original, a little bit more old school, as opposed to moving up the generations. So with a friend of mine who worked for Cosworth Engineering, we set about looking for a Hakosuka in Japan, only to find out that most of them had been crash damaged, chopped up, full of filler, full of bodge, and basically didn't represent very nice cars, to be honest. Then after probably 18 months to 2 years, I got an email from my friend who was based over on the northeast side of the island, and it happened into a little independent dealership, and this car in its original form was sitting tucked away in the corner with a for sale sign on it. So a couple of emails, loads of photographs later on, I decided I wanted to buy it. Very excited, as you can imagine. And then I got another email from my friend that was in Japan actually looking at the car, and he'd gone back to the garage, and lo and behold, he met the original owner, who was now an elderly fisherman. And he tells me that he bought the car brand new. It's got all of the original owner's manuals, got the original parts inside the vehicle. And he then went on to tell us he was 21 years old when he purchased the car brand new in the Nissan dealer. Took the car home, stripped it out, and went to the race circuit and started racing. Used to do a lot of weekend clubman events on it, and he also engaged in what they call toge racing, which is basically an illegal form of mountain racing, which obviously the local police force don't like to see things like that happening. And then at one of the toge events, he caught the eye of this young lady who was interested in probably the car more than him, and then that young lady became his wife, and they were still married, they were still together, and they'd never got rid of the vehicle. Over the years, he tuned the engine, he put a larger CC engine into it, kept on racing it for a good few years, and then, as he said, as he started getting a little bit older, he decided to retire his car, took the engine out of it, put the original wheels back into the car, and turned it back to nearly a road-going form, and probably to the level of where it was when I bought it. So kind of hearing that kind of history to go with the car just reinforced for me that this was the car that I had to own, because we knew all about it, and I got loads of photographs, and I got the story from the original owner. He'd simply just put the car in the garage because he felt he was getting too old to enjoy it and drive it, and he was after a Kai car, something with power steering, electric windows and air conditioning for him and his wife to use. So I ended up buying the vehicle. It did stay in Japan for quite a while. My money transfer went missing about 4 times, trying to get the money sent over to Japan, and it ended up bouncing around the world, which was obviously a bit nerve-wracking when you're kind of trying to imagine how much one of these cars cost. But eventually I procured the car, and then we set around having it deregistered and then transported to the UK. Not too long after I'd received the car, this was late 2010, I woke up one morning to see on the news that there had been a natural catastrophe in Japan, and a tsunami had devastated a lot of the coastline along the northeast part. Sadly, the name flashed up of the town where the fisherman and his wife actually lived, and I believe the news said that evening that there was about 10,000 people, an entire town had literally just been wiped off the map overnight. So in some ways, it's a bittersweet purchase that I ended up with the car of my dreams, but sadly the owner at the other end, once he'd let it go, met you know, a bit of a sad ending really. Owning it has been enjoyable most of the time. Fickle things with these cars, you try and find a part that fits. Some of the stuff just switches over straight away, which is fabulous. But then you go and try and find a panel or a rubber window seal or a piece of glass or something to go on the inside. And they're nearly impossible to find. And if you do find them, you hear people saying Skyline tax. Change that to classic Skyline tax and you'll appreciate how eye-watering some of the prices are for the parts for these original ones. So I was quite lucky, quite an original car, minimal amount of rust on it. It had quite a few accidents over its years. You could tell when I took all of the paint off and resprayed it that there'd been some fairly big whacks into the car structure and it had been repaired. Not a lot's gone wrong with it. Radiator overheated and bust its guts one day, and then some other minor little bits and pieces. I changed the harness out on the car, the electrics harness, when I brought the car over, because the last thing I wanted was a 44-year-old electric harness going up in flames in my car one day. Those are kind of the bad things. Now the flip side of it is the car just creates such a stir wherever it goes. I think people love the classic lines of it. I changed the colour of the paint slightly. When I painted it, I went for a deeper shade of silver just to show the lines off nicely. She's being used at the Goodwood Festival of Speed when Nismo launched the new Nismo GTR. They asked for us to display the vehicle alongside the new 2017 model GTR. The car was used at the Silverstone Classic event when the Nissan R32 was celebrated at being 25 years old. There was a huge gathering of in excess of 100 cars at the Silverstone Classic one year, and much to my surprise, this was the #1 car for the victory lap to actually go around the circuit. So I've got some amazing photographs of that. That's been displayed at the London Classic Car Show, where again, much to my surprise, a Formula 1 Grand Prix driver called Mr. Button made an attempt to purchase the vehicle off me and asked if the car was available for sale, which kind of humbled me to think that somebody with access to almost any car in the world would be interested in an old 1972 Skyline. Naturally, I've still got it, so I did say no to him. He did make a second attempt as well, but car wasn't for sale then, and it's not for sale now either.
Why?
Just your friend here, right? Look at all the top of the end gone.
Little ferret.
Yeah.
You love that.